The following segment is sponsored by Food City.
Welcome into week 13 of the college football catch-up for the Stateline Sports Reporters podcast. We have some okay games. We have some games that should be easy games. Not necessarily will be easy games. We thought the same thing last week.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. ETSU at VMI.
ETSU. I love them. I love our Bucks, but it's tough to see how it's gone.
They sucked the life out of me last week.
They did. Yeah, being there in person and seeing three quarterbacks be used, Trey Lamb kind of take the fall for, not managing the quarterback situation well all year. That's, bold of him to do that and take responsibility. But when that happens, things aren't going right. And that just hurts for the ETSU faithful, knowing that if they just win that game last week at Furman, you win this week and you probably are in the playoff.
Yeah.
Now that's not a possibility. I think we all know that. So you go into a game like this and you're on the road last game of the season where are you playing for something? I don't know. It could be the last game for some guys.
It will be the last game for some
guys. For a lot of guys. So I think that's where you get your rah-rah moment where, it could be a lot of guys' last ever collegiate game or even last one in the Bucks uniform. So they come out and just blow the brakes off of VMI, which is a very possibility. But then you look at are they so down after last week's loss that it could just be a downward trajectory?
VMI is 1-10. Their only win is against Furman.
You have to put out every possibility.
Their only win is against Furman.
And Furman
the
just
team
beat
that
ETSU.
Came up with enough to ruin the Bucks season.
Yeah, sorry. I think I came out a little somber there, making a little negative. But no, I think we'll go with the first option. I think ETSU plays with their hair on fire here for the last game of the season.
Yeah, I'm not
beats
really...
a one-win team and just call it all good. Finish the year with a 7-5 record.
Yeah, Coach
Much
Lynn did
better
say
than last year.
In the history of ETSU football, 92 seasons, only 10 teams have reached that 7-win mark.
So that's an accomplishment in itself. I think everyone's looking at it as a. It is though.
It's an accomplishment.
No, for this team.
Yeah.
Not for the program's history. That's not good. For this team, it is a program accomplishment. So it's like including ourselves, are looking at it as like it was a failed season. Which in some ways it was because they were this close. They almost beat North Dakota State. And then there's a couple games right in the middle where they should have won, including last week. And it's like, oh, what could have been, should have been. That's where I think it hurts a lot.
But when you look at the past two where they're 3-8, 3-8, getting to 7 wins is definitely a big accomplishment. Yeah, that's for sure. Trey Lamb did say they're only playing one guy. Didn't say which guy. Only playing. I did try to pick around when I was out hanging around ETSU this week. No one had the inside details though, so we'll have to tune in on Saturday to see who will get that starting job. He said they're going to let one quarterback ride it out. He didn't want to get called out for musical chairs again. So it'll be interesting to see who they pick. Mainly because I think who they pick may send a message into the offseason of where the faith is.
Huge message.
So I think that's what they're looking to get out of.
Yeah, I think whoever's starting quarterback on Saturday is going to be going into the offseason as the projected starting quarterback.
Unless it's Jalen King.
Why?
Because he didn't do it this year. He said he wrote out all this year with Jalen King. And then last week he was like, I mishandled the quarterback situation all year. That's essentially saying to Jalen King, I should not have started you all season.
Right.
Why would you come back to a program like that? Even if you start the last game.
I see what you're saying, but if he does start, maybe he has a good game and then he's like, all right, I'll run it back. You don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. You're right. I don't know. I'm just saying, me personally, after the comments that came out of Trey Lamb towards that quarterback room, it'd be tough.
Yeah.
It would be tough.
I don't know. We'll see.
One other thing that I did pick out of the Trey Lamb press conference that I did want to touch on, he did say that a little bit of a issue on the sideline with some underclassmen, a little cultural issue, not responding to issues. So that might reflect in some of the early playing time. I want to keep my eyes out on who was not on the field early.
Yes.
Who had some backlash after that game, who didn't respond well.
Right.
I think that's also, I think taking the moment to, be like, that's not acceptable. We're not taking that in our program. Huge.
Yeah.
But like, just from a curiosity standpoint, I want to know who.
I know. We're like, who are these people? But yeah, either way, I think this game's it's going to say a lot about what we might see coming up in the offseason. So it's an important game. You could look at it and be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, it's the last Saturday of their season.
No, it's
no
huge.
Playoffs, but it's a big game.
It's huge. With the state of college football as it is, you need to end on a high note. You need to have some momentum.
Some players.
You need to have some momentum so that way you can recruit in what you're, fix those little holes that you have and then build.
Right.
All right. We are going to move on along to the ACC, Virginia Tech at Duke. Nice little 8 o'clock late night football happening.
Yep.
Yup. They're playing.
Football in Durham. I'm surprised Virginia Tech's a favorite in this game, if we're going to be honest with you.
I also was surprised. I was looking at all the betting. I was, going through DraftKings, like, who should I put some money on? And I was like, the favorite.
Duke. Underdogs. There's where you put your money.
That's, yeah.
We'll get to that in a second.
Virginia Tech, both of their quarterbacks were banged up heading into the bye week.
Yep.
Kyron Drones, from everything that I've seen, does not look like he will probably play. They still have him listed as questionable. He very well could play.
Yep.
But from everything I've seen and heard, it looks doubtful. And so Colin Schlee, we were told that he should be good to go. Running back wise, Malachi Thomas completely out. That's their backup. Facial Tootin, also still questionable. If you don't have, we saw it against Clemson. You don't have a run game. All of your options are limited. Virginia Tech needs a run game. That's been their bread and butter all year. You take away the run game, you have nothing.
Nothing. And they have to win.
They do.
2 straight to finish the year. Just to get a bowl game.
No, they need one win to get a bowl game. Not 2.
1 bowl eligible.
But yeah, no, given what the expectations, given the expectations when they came in.
Yeah, that's what's.
It's like, yeah. We've talked about it all year, just not living up to the hype. They need to get, even if they don't come away with the win here, they definitely need to get the win against UVA.
Yes.
And that's going to be a tougher game, in my opinion. It's a rivalry game, so you might as well pick it up here and head into Virginia with the upper hand.
Yeah. Yeah, because those games go either way. Rivalry games are a toss-up. So
you don't want to leave a bowl eligibility in the air heading into a rivalry game. You want to get it done this week.
Yeah, I think it's that simple. No running game, it's over.
So you need something, because if you're not going to have drones, you're not going to have Malachi Thomas, Spatial Tune better be ready.
Yep.
And if not, you better have a backup. All
better.
Right. We're going to shift on. UTEP at Tennessee, senior day in Knoxville. Talk about a team that needs to win the rest of their games on their schedule, needs to win out this last 2 games.
Yeah.
Tough game last week.
Yeah. I think the Vols Nation felt that one slip right through their fingers.
They came out the gates,
came out ready to play.
Had the momentum, had the force, and then let Georgia crawl back in before halftime and then run all over them in the second half.
Yeah, and then you go into a new week, and if you're watching all of the college football playoff talk, and it's right there sitting one spot out, it's Tennessee. And that hurts because look who's in there.
Georgia.
Alabama, too, who they beat at home, where they rushed the field for God knows why afterwards.
You're going to feel real dumb if Alabama makes it in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. That makes that situation even look even dumber. So, I don't know. They should win these. Tomorrow they'll win. That's a win. It's a win. They could play their worst game of the year.
They're playing a 2-8 team that they should already have an automatic win over.
Yes, so they could play their worst game of the year.
If they lose, you got to throw the whole program away.
Yeah, it's over. Everyone's fired. So they'll win tomorrow, but then obviously Vandy's not going to be a cakewalk next weekend because Vandy's had a decent season.
Yeah.
But even if they went out and they like, what did we say last week? That's why the Georgia game was kind of a elimination game, because if Tennessee's mixed in with 4 or 5 teams with 2 losses, they're going to be one of the first ones on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So even if they went out, it's going to be tough. Someone's going to have to lose.
I will say.
They got to root for Florida. Tennessee has to root for Florida this week.
The thing is it's a weird situation, because I was talking about this with somebody else. Tennessee might actually end up being in an okay spot because they have no shot of making the SEC championship game. And if they're not in the SEC championship game, someone that's going to be in the SEC championship game is probably going to have 3 losses. And then they're going to be bumped for making the SEC championship game.
That's where this whole thing gets kind of messy.
Oh, there's so many. Because
that's like it's like if you make it to the SEC championship game and you lose, like that's should be an incentive.
Should be.
But then it gives you another loss and it looks bad on paper.
Well, it's just
so that's where it's like, where do you weigh that?
We've been so used to like these undefeated seasons and no one, the untouchables, and you don't have the untouchables in the SEC this year. It's a lot more of an even playing field across college football.
You don't have an untouchable, in the country.
I guess in theory right now, Oregon,
but I guess that's it.
Right now.
Right now.
Who knows if they see Ohio State again.
Yeah.
But this one, this game, obviously we know what the result on the field is going to be. Should be, whatever.
Mm.
I'd throw my entire life savings on Tennessee. Maybe not to cover the spread, but money line for sure. Yeah. But I think that you also have to take a minute and think about, with them possibly being out of the playoffs, at one point we were hoping home playoff game. That's pretty much out of the picture at this rate. Right. That's not going to happen. And so you have to think about some of the names on this team, some of the impact players that are running out onto Neyland for the last time, going to play their last game in Neyland. There are a lot of big names, a lot of people that have impacted this program, even transferring in with all the transfer portals.
Right.
So,
one of our local guys.
Yeah.
Dane Davis.
He's been there for 6 years now?
Yeah.
So it's going to be.
What a good guy.
Yeah.
Wish the best for him.
Yeah, he's going to be running out. Most of the offensive line actually is going to be graduating with no eligibility left, including Cooper Mays, who's been a huge staple on their offensive line.
Huge.
Then looking on defense, you have Amari Thomas, Keenan Peely, who obviously didn't have the career at Tennessee he was hoping for, but I think still a lot of love from the Vols fans on him.
Absolutely.
Will Brooks, who is just the storybook of the season of, you look back, the walk-on and just the impact that he's had. Really, every time that Will Brooks gets brought up in these interviews, everyone's just like, he's the best guy. And then he goes out and,
story.
Grabs a couple interceptions and makes the big plays. So really like to
Brew and his comeback story after breaking his leg last year. He's a fan favorite.
Dante Thornton, Miles Kitzelman, who,
he's been year.
Yeah, he's been big. He talked to the media on Monday and he was like, I wish I had more time. That was the sentiment. Everyone wish I had more time on Rocky Top. Yeah. Brew McCoy said he's from California. He said now when he talks about going home, Knoxville is home. So you got to love the love that they have for the program. So just, a sidebar, a little something to think about.
I'm going to soak it in tomorrow. It was a fun year at Neyland.
Yeah.
It'll be my last time there. in Neyland this year, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And it's different. We've got all-night games all year. So we got a 1 o'clock game, except for week 1 when you had the noon.
Oh, my gosh. That was horrid.
That was probably hot.
That was horrid.
Now it's a little chillier.
You'll be all right. Yeah. You'll be all right. I was sweating buckets. I took a picture at halftime. I'm like, Mom.
Last weekend in August. That's what you'll get.
That was bad. All right. So we're going to shift into the Lauren's Locks segment. We're going to, everything with a grain of salt. Every week. Everything with a grain of salt. Didn't do that great last week. Well, you win some and you lose some. All right, we're going to start off with ETSU at VMI. We're going to assume ETSU is the favorites in this one.
Yeah, lock it in. Whatever the number may be.
Whatever the number may be.
We'll put it at 13.5.
And you're going to give it to the Bucks.
Yes.
I think that
they should win by 2 scores.
I think that ETSU is going to come out. I think the thing is you have a lot of seniors on this team that are going to be playing their last game. And I think they're going to do everything. Granted, obviously at home they were doing everything that they could, but I think the message is this is your last game. This is your last time suiting up. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go out on a loss, not to a 1-10 team. I mean, that is a horrible way to end your career. And
something I forgot to mention when we were doing our dialogue earlier, there's guys on this team that are probably also looking at this as an opportunity to play for their job for next season. Well, I know we kind of talked about it, but not the specific point in that there's some guys that maybe haven't played a ton this year that will be playing on Saturday. If you play well, you're going into the offseason as a potential starter. So.
You talk about that. You could also use it
guys
as
will play it hard
another game to, at one point, Trey Lamb said, we can use this as a springboard to another level, to the FBS. You saw that in some of the players last year making that jump. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's also, you want to go out on a high note and add to your film and be like, see ya, I'm going
to that resume.
Going up.
Yeah.
So,
Bucks by a million.
Always got to play your hardest. Bucks by a million. I don't know if I'm rolling that hard, but I will also take ETSU in this one. Big.
Yeah.
Not by a million.
Okay.
Virginia Tech at Duke. As you mentioned earlier, Virginia Tech somehow opened 2.5-point favorites up to 3-point favorites. So they moved up. They become even more favored as the week goes on. What do the Bucks know that Cole Johnson does not?
I have no clue. Especially if all these guys are out. I was grab it now before they rule Bashal out, and then the line flips to Duke as a favorite. I'm if you want to bet this game, grab Duke right now. Right now. Open that app and do it.
Head up to the Hard Rock.
Yeah, go to the Hard Rock and do it. All right, yeah. Duke +3.
I think I'm also taking Duke +3. It hurts my heart a little bit, but this has been a tough end of the season for the Hokies, injury-wise.
I think it just needs to be over. Just end the season.
Yep. UTEP at Tennessee. Tennessee, 41.5-point favorites. Yeah, that's a big line.
Is that the biggest spread we've seen all year?
I don't know.
What was the Chattanooga game? I think it was higher.
Chattanooga might have been higher. You know who else might have been higher? What was that
second game? The one I went to.
I know. With the long-haired quarterback. He had luscious locks.
How are we forgetting? That's how bad they were. Was it
the early games you forget? No.
It wasn't Austin P. That was last year.
Kent State?
Yes, Kent State. It was 50-something, wasn't it?
Probably.
It was 50.
Probably.
48-50. So it's not the biggest one, but it's
41.
I wouldn't ever put money down on a 41-point spread. I don't care who it is, but if I had to. The thing with that is that's where it's tough because, if the Tennessee starters played the whole game, easy, but are they going to pull the break? Are they going to
play the first half?
Put the brakes on and then throw a bunch of seniors who haven't played a lot.
That's fair.
Walk-on, stuff like that. Then you never know. So the spread gets put in jeopardy. I would say just take it just for fun.
So you're saying that Tennessee's going to cover 41.5 points? Because I was also going to say that, but I thought you were going to go the other way, so I felt original.
No, just there's no point.
For the love of the game.
For the love of the game, get a bench guy or a walk-on, score a touchdown, and get this spread.
There you go.
There's where the love of the game comes in.
You could get like Amari Thomas, like hand off
defensive
lineman.
Give it
I
to
love a defensive touchdown, like an offensive package.
Hey, they handed it off to Kitzelman.
That's what I'm
last week.
saying.
Now
That's
go
what I'm saying.
defense.
You're telling me that you wouldn't give it to a senior on senior day, big guy?
You have to.
God.
Give it to Dane Davis.
They don't usually give it to the O-line. They give it to the D-line. Come on now.
I don't care. Give it to Dane.
All right.
Sullivan East.
There you go. There you go. We're pulling for the seniors
Bluff
in
City.
this one. Both of us rolling with Tennessee to cover 41.5 points because we're delusional.
Yeah.
So that's how we're going to wrap up week 13 of the College Football Catch-Up Podcast. We'll have more from these games on Saturday. We kind of have a YouTube show on Saturday, so make sure to look out for that one coming up later this weekend.
Sponsored by Food City.